forward. This morning, our Way to a Wonderful Life message is titled, "And Your World Will Be a Better Place." And your world will be a better place. And I'm going to take some words here from the writings of Rix Militz, and it's from her essay on In the Secret Place. And Rix Militz was a great lecturer and teacher. She initially came out of an independent ministry and moved to the study of the works of Emma Curtis Hopkins, who was a great teacher of metaphysics. And then she joined the Unity movement and became an incremental part of their growth and their forward movement into evolving the mystical teachings of the Mastermind Jesus. So Rix Militz tells us the realm of causation is in secrecy. All of the Spirit's causative work is done in secret, but its fruit or manifestation is open. This truth is symbolized throughout nature and even also in the arts of mankind. The seed works underground, sometimes a long time before it puts forth its green leaf, and throughout its growth, its laboratory is still most secret. The embryo babe is hid from sight. Both the land and the sea cover thousands of treasures, diamonds, pearls, gold, coal, and coral, still in process of formation, preparing for manifestation, which may be ages hence. In the arts of mankind, they continually hide the mechanism that produces the fair showing, the works of a watch, the dynamo that lights, the kitchen that produces the banquet. There is not a work of man's hand, but has its secret region of causation. In order to be master of any work of art or nature, one must go right into its secret place. So herewith, Jesus would show us how to get into that secret place of the Most High, the realm of causation, act as God acts, who does not care to what mankind ascribes as good deeds. So Jesus tells us over and over to go into that secret place, to go into the closet of your mind, close out all the noise and the nonsense of the world, close out all the beliefs and the concepts of the world, the ideas that have created wars and created misery and created poverty and created illness. Close all of that out of your mind as the untruth of the world, the falseness of the world, and allow yourself to realize that in God all good things are possible, and take into your mind, your heart, and your soul the realization that God is seeking to reward thee openly for those things that you seek in secret, those things that you seek in secret. And the silence of your mind, as you gain a sense of yourself being in the presence of God. So let's go back to Rix Militz. She tells us, "Sound no trumpet before you. I receive not honor from mankind," says the Christ. "It is human nature to love the praise of people, but it is divine to love the praise of God only." In all ways, Jesus would have us lift up our human loves into the divine, for the human is temporal and unsatisfying, while the divine is eternal and all-satisfying. Good actions must be our natural habit, as we do not go about telling people we breathe or taking credit to ourselves that we eat. So also we should realize that our goodness should be as spontaneous and as unassuming and as free from self-consciousness as every function of the physical organs. That's why those words from the great Dr. Martin Luther King were so important when he talks about forgiveness. He says that we must realize that forgiveness is not an occasional act. It is a constant attitude. Because forgiveness is something we do within. We do it within our own mind and our own heart and our own soul. To tell someone who's treating you badly or to tell someone who's doing awful things to themselves and to others that you forgive them will only oftentimes incite them to even more hateful ways and more of a degenerate mind than what they were reflecting before. So we know that we must hold forgiveness in that secret place, that nothing is secret that shall not be made manifest, she tells us. And good actions must be our natural habit. So the good actions in our mind, the good action in our thoughts, that which we forgive, that which we love, all of these things, that which we praise, all of these things are in the great invisible. They're in the realm of mind, the realm of spirit. So nothing is secret that shall not be made manifest. And we read that in the Holy Scriptures too. Nothing that is unseen, all that is unseen shall be seen. We read in the Scripture, all that is unseen shall be seen. In other words, we're all going to reflect our consciousness so that all can see it. But we also want to reflect that consciousness of the nature of God in all things that we do, So nothing is secret that shall not be made manifest. No spiritual prayer, treatment, or affirmation is ever lost. No good work is ever wasted. And the more secret it is, the more it is within at the source of good, the greater and more complete is the manifestation. In other words, the material form in which it takes. Thy spirit which is in secret, God is within you, for heaven is within. We read that from the Gospel of Luke. And so each and every one of us know that this is the truth. Thy Father which is in secret. This is what Jesus said, thy Father. And he said the Father is spirit, and we shall worship him in spirit and in truth, and know that God is within us, around us, everywhere present. For heaven is within, heaven being the great invisible realm of life. And to address our Father which is in heaven, that is the invisible intelligence, we must know God to be in us and not a way off, as children have been so ignorantly taught to believe in the blue sky or some other indefinite, unreachable place. Therefore, let the mind seek the peaceful center of being by causing the thought steadily to dwell upon the presence and the power of God's kingdom. So as we look out into our world, we must realize that the physical things, the material things that we see are just part of the universe in which we live. It's in the great invisible that all things are beginning to manifest, that all things are moving into the right manifestation of that which we desire to realize and experience for ourselves. This is the thing we must take into our mind and understand, because this is what Jesus understood most of all, that everything is caused on the invisible side of life, that in that invisible cause through consciousness and faith, that everything comes to us in the right and perfect way and in the right and perfect time. That's why when Jesus went and turned the water into wine, he didn't turn it into grapefruit juice because the people wanted wine. The people wanted wine. Think about that. We don't know how he did it. He probably couldn't even put it into words how he did it, because the words, the vocabulary wasn't there at the time to explain it. All he could say is it comes from the Father meaning the great, the supreme, the intelligence that goes beyond anything that the human mind can conceive of. And that's why the human mind calls it a miracle. It's not a miracle. It's only a miracle to the finite understanding of the human race. Miracles are normal and natural, as we understand and we realize. So let's go back to Annie Rix Militz. She tells us, repetition is all right. Jesus himself repeated the same prayer 3 times on one occasion. But it is vain repetition, that is, words without feeling, that we are warned against. Better to speak one sentence in which is faith and confidence and warm, loving realization than many statements that carry no conviction of their truth to us, That's why the psalmist could say, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want, because this is where the understanding was. He didn't know how to explain that in any greater detail. He didn't know why and how those things transpired in his life that created something good out of that faith, and the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. But he knew that those words in his mind, that thought in his mind, brought forth something greater, something better, something more wonderful. And I believe and I accept that God listens to our heart. That is, the intelligence that created us creates through us and for us and bases this creative action on the thoughts that we feel to be true for us, no matter what this true for us may be perceived by others. As Rix Militz states so simply and clearly, nothing is secret that shall not be made manifest. Nothing is secret that shall not be made manifest. And we know this is the truth. As within, so without. As within, so without. And in these words, we can realize the cause of everything that appears in our life experience. And this cause is not a secret. It never was a secret for those who were willing to discover it, for those who were willing to realize it, for those who were willing to recognize it. Because we can go all the way back to the book of Job in the Holy Bible. And I don't know if Job is in the Torah or not. I'd have to look that up. But we know we go back thousands of years into ancient wisdom, and we can read where Job says, that which I have greatly feared has come upon me. So we know that the fear in his mind manifested its good results, but they weren't good results for Job. They were only the good result of a consciousness that believed in something awful and fearful, but it did its perfect work. The cause did its perfect work. In other words, the law of God made manifest perfectly in Job's life. Now, if he had filled his mind and his thoughts with the lovely and the good and the wonderful, he could have said, that which I have greatly loved has come upon me, and think about what a different result that would have been than what he had experienced. So our feelings are secret, for mere words could never define the complexity of them, whether they be energized by joy or by pain. Yet we have great control over our feeling nature, and most of us have probably sensed changes in the way we feel about the things that concern us. These changes have a great deal to do with what we have experienced and the level of spiritual maturity we have developed. So we go back to those words of the great Dr. Martin Luther King, and we realize these words are coming from a developed consciousness. I have decided to stick to love, he tells us, because hate is too great a burden to bear. Can you imagine going around with hate in your heart all the time? Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. And light is a synonym for intelligence. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. Only love can do that. So we must bring these things into our mind and just allow ourselves to realize something greater for ourselves. Realize that forgiveness is not an occasional act, it is a constant attitude, and forgiveness brings us into a greater realization of the livingness, the givingness, and the forgivingness of God in our own personal life experience. It has been my experience that those who spend time each day in the silence or in meditation or contemplation have a stronger sense of control over their feelings. Their ability to view the world around them as an observer rather than a judge allows them to reflect more of the nature of God, more the nature of the Spirit in all that they do, as well as the thoughts that enter their awareness. Rix Militz clarifies this with the statement, act as God acts, who does not care to what mankind ascribe as good deeds. In other words, we must do the right thing even if everybody around us is telling us that we're wrong. Even if we're going to get the disapproval of even those people that we absolutely love, we must be willing to live to our truth. We must act as God acts, who does not care to what mankind ascribes God's good deeds. God's good deeds. Look at gravity. Gravity is always supporting us. Gravity is always working for us. It doesn't matter if we're a bank robber or if we're the president of the bank. It doesn't matter if we're a saint or a sinner. Gravity is always doing its work without judgment. And that's why Jesus said, look to nature, because in the looking to nature, we're going to find that God is always being God, no matter what it is that we may be doing. Now, God awful our works and thoughts may be, actions may be. So act as God acts, who does not care to what mankind ascribes his good deeds. In other words, we begin to act and think consciously rather than self-consciously, and lose any concern about perceiving the world around us as a reflection of the collective consciousness or race mind. This deeper spiritual consciousness was demonstrated by the mastermind Jesus in his actions and words, and in modern times by people like John Lennon and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. I absolutely believe that the daily practice of sitting in the silence and gaining a sense of being in the presence of God, and allowing the Spirit presence to transform our heart, our mind, and our soul, not only gives us the advantage of experiencing life as an observer without judgment, but opens our mind to a greater awareness of ideas and images and likenesses of health and prosperity and joy and peace. And these we shall experience with abundance in our own personal world every day. Yes, it is true. Our world, your world, will be a better place if you do this. That's why Jesus called us to go into the silence. And every great teacher, Krishna and Buddha, all the great teachers, Paramahansa, Yogananda, all these teachers teach us to do just that. John Lennon was an avid meditator. Martin Luther King Jr. tells us to find within our own soul that which is acceptable to us, and to do everything possible to find that which we are to do. He said there's life. Life itself is not worth living if we haven't found something yet that we are willing to die for. That life itself is not worth living if we have not found something we are willing to die for. So we must know that in our heart of hearts, that we all have a purpose, that there's always something that will get us to that greater level of understanding and realization that we are all a part of God, that we are of the nature of God, that we are of the nature of intelligence and power and spirit, that its spirit is mind, and in our mind we can imagine and we can carry the thoughts that bring forth the greater health, the greater prosperity, the greater joy, and the greater peace, and the greater abundance of all things good. Yes, one more time. Yes, it is true. Yes, it is true. Your world will be a better place as you seek and find that way, your own unique way to a wonderful life. And so it is, amen. And so it is, amen. So once again, I want to thank you for being with me this morning. It's been my